Okay, so you know all these data displays, right? This big list. You've learned them all. Great. Now, how do you decide which one to use when? Because in real life, it's not going to say, make a bar graph for this data. It's going to give you some data, and you have to decide which type of graph is the best one to display it. So you're going to want to flip back to this chart as we go through this lesson. The first example just wants us to look at the list and pick the data display that we think would be the best. Now, there are some where there's a clear correct choice, and there are others where, there might be more than one. So the first one is the number of students in a marching band each year. I'm going to tell you that each year is a trigger word because anything that is changing over time is a line graph. All right, let's look at letter B, a comparison of people's shoe sizes and their heights. So this one, we have two things, right? We asked people two questions. What's your shoe size? And what's your height? So since there are two things that we are asking them, this is going to be a scatter plot. Letter C, the population of the United States divided into age groups. This has two possible answers. The first one would be a histogram. And the reason I picked it is age groups. If you look up above, it says that histograms are for data that's in intervals, and an age group is an interval. I'm not going to write the second one down because it's kind of like my second choice, but you could also do a circle graph with each age group represented by a slice of the circle, and then that would represent the population. Now, speaking of circle graph, you could do a circle graph for letter D. You could also do a bar graph. So for letter D, I'll say bar graph. That would be my preferred choice because it shows data in categories. But you could also use a circle graph for the same reason. In example 2, we have a list of a website and how many hits it got in each given month, and they want us to determine which of these three graphs would be the best one or would be an appropriate one to use. Now remember, I told you that more than one graph might be correct. So we're going to look at all three. So this first one here, this is a bar graph, and it shows the number of hits for each month. I don't think that there's anything really confusing about this. I think it shows everything exactly how it should. So I would say this is an appropriate graph. Okay, I said yes, it shows the number of hits each month. Now let's move on to letter B. Now this is a histogram. It does not show the number of hits for each month or how the number of hits changes over time. So this is definitely not helpful. It just shows us how many times each range got a number of hits, and that's not really helpful at all. So I said, no, it does not show the number of hits each month. And letter C is a line graph. And the line graph is actually, in my opinion, the best graph because it shows change over time. And what we want to do is we want to see, is this website getting more traction on the internet? Are more people going to it? So this I definitely think is an appropriate display. So I said, yes, it shows how the number of hits change over time. And I'm going to circle it because I like this one the best. All right, now we go into something that's a little in the gray area because we talk about misleading statistics. And a lot of times in the news, you hear things that are not technically wrong, but they're presented in a way that is supposed to mislead you to believe something that they want you to believe. A lot of, news outlets do this naturally. So we've got these two graphs, and neither one of them is wrong, but we have to determine which one is more misleading than the other one. If you look at the first graph, the vertical axis has a break. Now, a break isn't wrong. A break is used when there's no data in a certain range, right? So if you look at the second graph, there's no data down here. So they're not wrong to make a break. But what happens when you make a break is that it appears to be like fluctuating more drastically than the other one. So while neither one of them is wrong, the graph on the left is considered misleading because the break shows the fluctuations more than over in this other graph. It looks like, the difference from 11 billion to 10 billion is a much steeper decline than it is over here, while like in real life, that $1 billion is a lot of money. But comparatively, 11 billion to 10 billion is not that much of a decline, whereas here it looks pretty drastic. So I said the graph on the left is misleading because the break makes the changes look more drastic. All right, let's check out our next example. And the organizer of a food drive creates the pictograph shown. A volunteer concludes that the number of cans and boxes of food donated were about the same. So if you look at the boxes, you look at the cans, they're pretty much lined up in the same spot. And we have to determine whether that is an accurate conclusion. It's not accurate because even though they both kind of line up in the same spot, the boxes are wider than the cans, so more cans are needed to make the same length of boxes. So if you look down at the key or the legend, each thing is worth 20. So let's see, this is 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that is 220 cans, and it's only 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120 boxes. So that's definitely not accurate. Now we have to estimate the number of each item that has been donated. So I don't know if it's really estimating because they tell us, maybe down in the juice, you see the juice only has like a fractional bottle, so that's probably why it's estimate. All right, so I already determined that there were 220 cans, and I determined there were 120 boxes. So I don't know, maybe that looks like half a juice bottle. So that would be 20, 40, and then 50. If you have any questions, write them down and ask me when you come to class.